Young people's experiences, ideas, choices, and preferences help shape the future of cities. This episode of the Bright Young Minds show on Future Cities Africa is with Felix Kariba, an urban and regional development expert with more than 7 years of experience. He has broad experience supporting urban governance and formulation of development policies and strategies as a practitioner and researcher for international organizations, local and national governments, the private sector, and non-profit organizations. Felix, welcome. It's great to have you on the show. Can you give us a brief introduction to your career to date?
Thanks so much, Daniel, for inviting me to this particular episode on Future Cities Africa. About myself, my name is Felix Kariba. I am an urban planner. I have a Master of Science degree in Urban Management and Development from the Institute of Housing and Urban Development of the Erasmus University, which is located in Rotterdam in the Netherlands. I have 7 years of experience working at the country level and also again at the international level. At the country level, I have worked in the private sector supporting formulation of urban development strategies and of course engaging different levels of government. At the international level, working with the Cities Alliance at their headquarters in Brussels, I supported the formulation and implementation of a number of programs and projects, not only in Africa, but also again in Asia and in Latin America. At the moment, I am involved in a number of activities. I am supporting the global community of practice on housing and integrated urban development, which is trying to bring different cities together, different experts together, and different stakeholders together so that they can be able to learn and exchange ideas on how to address some of the challenges that we face within our cities today. But then, apart from that, I am engaged in a number of consultancy assignments at a personal level with the different organizations, and more particularly in Africa.
How, as a young African living in Kenya, are you currently making sense of what's going on in the world and how do you keep sane?
At the moment, there is so much that is going on in the world. We have a lot of challenges. Some of them relate to the pandemic. Other challenges relate to the impacts of climate change. And within our cities, we have seen a lot of inequality. And these are some of the issues that we really need to address. But then again, on a positive side, we have seen a lot of innovation and a lot of creativity. And this has been demonstrated by the technological advancements that we have seen in the recent couple of years. What I believe is that it is very important to stay focused, also to stay engaged, and to always be aware of the emerging trends within our professional areas, to be aware of the emerging trends at the global level, and most of all, to keep learning. Learning is very important. For example, when the pandemic came, most cities did not know how to best respond to the challenges that were posed by the pandemic. And I remember very well, it was during this period when we started a knowledge exchange platform that brought different cities together, different experts together, so that they could be able to learn from each other, to share the best practices and to understand what was working and what was not working. And out of this learning experience, most of these experts and cities were able to address and to respond to the pandemic in the best way possible. So learning is very important as to enable us to keep going and addressing the challenges that we face today.
Thanks. You've mentioned the importance of continuous learning and staying on top of new trends. What is your approach to continuous learning and what habits do you need to formulate to stay on top of new developments?
Learning is an everyday thing that we have to do in our workplaces. That the best way of learning is engaging with other people and getting to understand what is happening in different parts of the world. Because when we engage with other people, we get to learn new concepts. We get to see things from different perspectives. And this is very important because it like opens our mind and we can be able to see different perspectives that we can use to address a particular challenge. And once we see these different perspectives, the best thing is to dig deeper and try to understand the concepts, the principles behind uh, these particular lessons that we learn every day. So it is always good not to have a process of understanding the reasons behind and the principles that inform different actions that we face every day.
Absolutely. What would you say is the biggest challenge currently facing Africa's youth, and how can this challenge be addressed?
The biggest challenge that we face today in Africa, of course, is the challenge of unemployment. As we talk, 60% of the population in Africa today is below the age of 25 years. And this makes Africa the youngest population in the world. But then again, looking at the number of unemployed youth, it is extremely large. As we talk, approximately 11 million young Africans are unemployed. And the job market is able to generate only 3.7 million jobs, annually. So you can see the gap is huge and the challenge is massive. And what has happened is that due to lack of opportunities in the formal sector, most of the youth have opted to join the informal sector. And this is the biggest sector in terms of employment in Africa. In sub-Saharan Africa alone, it accounts for approximately 89% of employment. The sector itself comes with a lot of challenges. Here we are talking about youths who have no access to social safety nets, no access to workers' rights, no access to business loans because most of these businesses are small and they are not, in most cases, they are not recognized by the government. So the sector comes with a lot of challenges. And I believe most of the governments need to put in place policies, mechanisms to address these challenges. I would say that in as much as the informal sector is a challenge, we cannot fail to recognize the significant role that it also plays in providing uh, opportunities to the many unemployed youth. And what you're saying is that governments must support the sector in the proper way. Then overall, in as much as we see that the huge number of unemployed youth is a challenge, it's also an opportunity for the continent itself. I do believe most of this would come with a lot of innovation, with a lot of creativity. And if this is well tapped, if it is well managed, it could contribute massively to the growth of the economy of the Africa as a continent. So, what I'd say is that governments must put in place policies that support the youth. They must ensure that we create learning opportunities where these youth are able to improve their skills, and that the governments must be able to strengthen the youth and to mold them to become future leaders and future change agents. Uh, this is very important. And one of the ways of doing this is also to create a proper environment that encourages innovation, that encourages creativity. Because through such initiatives, we are able to open more opportunities for employment, more opportunities to bring people on board. And the other thing that I would say is very important is to make sure that we leave no one behind as we do this. It is very important that we focus on gender empowerment so that we give equal opportunities to everyone.
So, how then should Africa's youth properly be groomed to ensure that they have the right skill set to contribute to the development of the continent?
Let me say that governments must take initiatives that prepare these young professionals to prepare them to take future leadership positions as change agents. This is by ensuring that we have proper education systems in place, systems that address what the market demands in terms of skills, because without skills, we cannot be able to address the issue of employment. So that is one of the ways that the government could be able to groom the youth and to prepare them. The other way is to provide opportunities for the recent graduates within government ministries, within government agencies. opportunities for them to be able to learn through internship programs, through training programs to equip them with necessary skills so that even when they go outside there or when they go into the private sector, they have the right skills to be able to perform as expected. That is very important. The other thing that I think is would be important is to have inclusive policies and policies that address every sector of our economies. We have people who work in the different sectors. For example, when you look at the more technical sectors of our economies, I would say skills are quite lacking, and we need to improve skills in these particular areas. We also need to focus on areas whereby people feel, how do I put this, not primarily in office related sectors, but can talk about employment in other sectors that are not well addressed within our economy. Take, for example, the sector of agriculture. This is an area that has a lot of potential to employ so many youths. But some of the challenges we face in this sector relate to our planning. We're talking about improving our agricultural production, but then we cannot be able to do that without focusing on mechanization. So, as we formulate policies, we need to look at this from a broader perspective. And I believe skills are not only acquired in school, but also they could be acquired within our different work environments.
So, on cities, what is your vision for the future of cities? And what is standing in the way of this vision? And then, how can this challenge be overcome?
My vision for future cities is cities that are inclusive, where everyone has the right to the city, equal opportunities to everyone, and cities that are functional. I'm talking about cities that are livable, cities that are environmental friendly, and cities that are quite resilient and innovative in terms of how they address the challenges that we face today. Innovation is critical, not only in addressing the challenges that we face today, but also again in planning for the future that we want. I'd say in the context of African cities, many of the challenges that we face still relate to political challenges, institutional challenges, and also policy and technical barriers. While we have mechanisms in place that are supposed to make sure that we address these challenges, I would say that the speed is not as we would like it to be, and we need to take more actions. One of the things that we could do in Africa is to undertake extensive strengthening of the existing institutions to build their capacities so that they are able to undertake their mandate as expected. That is very important for us to be able to address these challenges. The other thing that I believe is very important is to have policies that are evidence based. For us to be able to get it right, we need to have data and a lot of information so that we are able to formulate policies that address the challenges that we face today within our cities. And the other thing that I believe is quite important for cities in Africa, I do believe we have the opportunity to be able to learn from other cities, more particularly cities that are located in the global north. We have a lot of case examples that we could borrow from. We do not have to do everything from scratch. We can start to have exchanges with these particular cities to understand what are the best practices, what have they done to address the challenges that their police faced, and what could we be able to borrow and apply in our case, and to understand what is working and what is not working. I believe this is very important for cities in Africa to be able to understand the challenge that we face today.
In closing, what is your advice to young Africans to remain hopeful of the future?
The future looks very bright for us as youth. The starting point is to understand the challenges that we face today within our cities. And once we understand these challenges and these problems that we face, what can we be able to do, whether we are in the private sector, the government sector, or in any other organization, what you can be able to do is to take initiatives that address those challenges and go further and take actions that will create the future that we want to see. I do believe we have the opportunity as the youth. we have the opportunity, and it is time that we took the action. We took the necessary steps and started to address these challenges wherever we are. And I believe by taking an action wherever we are, this this will be very important for us to be able to move forward. I would say that it is time for us to step forward, to showcase our skills, showcase our ability, and what we are able to offer to the government, to different organizations. And uh, once we do that, we will have a lot of opportunity going forward.
A big thank you to Felix Kariba for this insightful conversation on the Bright Young Minds show on Future Cities Africa. Youth is the future of African cities.